Hello everyone and welcome to Shifting Gears and welcome inside the Maruti Suzuki Fronx. Now the Fronx is an SUV. That is what the brand says. But you and me, we both know it is a crossover. It is more of a hatchback on stilts. This is more of a Baleno, but it is jacked up so that it looks more rough road friendly, which it is because of the healthy dose of black plastic cladding and generous ground clearance compared to the Baleno. But it is not really an SUV. But nevertheless, this has been selling in good numbers. So far, I had never driven the Maruti Suzuki Fronx, and finally I have it. So in this video, I will tell you everything that you need to know about this product before bringing it home. The Maruti Suzuki Fronx, it costs almost 15 lakh rupees on road here in Mumbai. So it is not really a cheap product. It is expensive. But that is because the variant that I have with me today has the booster jet turbo petrol engine under the hood, and it is coupled to a 6-speed automatic. You heard that right. You have a turbo petrol engine from Maruti Suzuki and you have a 6-speed torque converter automatic, not an AMT, with this Fronx. So in this video, let us deep dive into the driving dynamics, how good it feels from behind the wheel, what are the features like on the outside, how good is it on the inside. Let me tell you all of that, but the focus primarily is going to be from behind the wheel. What is my experience and what should you expect should you choose to bring this home? So let us first speak about the engine specifications. The variant which I have with me today is powered by the 1-liter K series turbo petrol engine. This is a 998cc 3-cylinder block producing 100.06 PS of power at 5500 RPM and 147.6 Newton meters of torque between 2000 to 4500 RPM. Now this engine is coupled to a 6-speed torque converter automatic variant which I have with me today, and it also gets paddle shifters. Otherwise, you also have the option of a 5-speed manual transmission. Maruti Suzuki claims a mileage figure of 21.5 kmpl for the manual and 20.02 kmpl for the automatic, and you have a 37-liter fuel tank capacity with this Fronx. Now those are all the numbers which the brand shares with us. Speaking about mileage, in the real world, I have driven this Fronx for almost 600 kilometers in and around Mumbai. I drove it in peak hour traffic. I drove it through the festive season traffic during Diwali. I drove it out on the highway at night, and the mileage figure which I have achieved is 12.5 kmpl combined, and that is reasonable for a product with 100 PS of power with a 6-speed torque converter automatic, the convenience of a 2-pedal drive. But is it efficient enough as per Maruti Suzuki standards? Maybe not. But if you go out on a long distance drive, this mileage figure will easily be well over 15 kmpl. I'm confident about that. But that again is subject to the fact that you are not too hungry on the throttle all the time. If at all you are buying a turbo petrol vehicle, you have to keep in mind that these engines are very sensitive to your throttle input. So the hungrier you are on the gas, the worse your efficiency is going to be. So keep that in mind. Nevertheless, this mileage figure and the range you can expect is close to 500 kilometers on a full tank of fuel, and that should give you a good 3 to 4 days inside a city like Mumbai if you are going to commute with your Fronx every day to work for 50 kilometers or more. So that is that in terms of range and your day-to-day efficiency expectations. Now, what is important to know is that is this Fronx with this booster jet engine fast enough? Does it really have all that punch? Is it exciting to drive? And for that, let us sprint hard from 0 till well over 100 kilometers per hour. But before we sprint hard, there are a few things which I want to show you. So this Fronx comes with idle start stop functionality. Check this out, the vehicle is still in D mode, drive mode, and the engine has switched off. It is going to save some fuel. As soon as I lift off from the brake pedal, the engine comes to life and the vehicle starts crawling. I have not given any kind of throttle input. Check this out, if I stop again, the engine has now shut off again. Now yes, this is going to save some fuel, but in cities with a lot of traffic, in bumper to bumper traffic, this feature could be a bit annoying because it affects the AC performance too, and on a hot sunny day you don't really want the engine to switch off time and again. To deactivate this feature, this idle start stop functionality, you have a button on the console to the right hand side of the steering column. I have pressed it and I have deactivated this feature, and now the engine is running at all times. So when you want to sprint this Fronx turbo petrol with this 6-speed automatic, it does not offer you any additional drive mode. There is no eco mode, sport mode or city mode, and you only have a standard drive mode, and you also have a manual mode. In manual mode, there is no Tiptronic functionality on the gear stick. You only get paddle shifters, so you can get manual control over the engine and gearbox making use of these paddles. You cannot shift gears making use of this gear stick. You have to be careful when you are shifting from park to D, because what will happen is if you are a bit hurried, you are going to engage manual mode, and that is not what you want to do. You want to carefully switch to D, because from D to M, if you want to switch, you can't do it if the button is not pressed. But when you are shifting from park, you will have that button pressed and you can accidentally go into manual mode. But when you want to go from M to D, you can simply push the gear stick ahead and then you will switch from manual mode to standard drive mode. That is not going to be a challenge. So now let us check out the acceleration. I also want you to listen to the engine, this booster jet motor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive it full pedal to the metal. So in 3, 2, 1, let's go. A little slow off the line, but once it gets going, listen to the engine. This booster jet motor, it has quite some poke, and I am well over 100 kilometers per hour, and that's serious triple digit speeds, and it does feel fast. It is a light car too, so acceleration is quite brisk by Maruti Suzuki standards and for a car of this size. So it is definitely exciting and it is definitely fast enough. We are going to try this out one more time. So what I'll do is I will pull over to the shoulder and I will again simply kick that throttle pedal from a standstill. So 0, and in 3, 2, 1, full pedal to the metal. Look at that car accelerating right now, but I can very easily overtake it even though I had a standing start. That is how much punch this motor has, and it will not let you down if at all you want to sprint hard from a signal. So your Fronx with this turbo petrol engine, it is brisk. Is it the fastest? Maybe not. Is it sounding really very good? Maybe not, but it doesn't sound coarse at all. And if you are coming to a standstill and if you want to save some money, I have activated idle start stop functionality. The engine has now switched off. Absolutely quiet cabin. All I can hear is the AC fan blower, which is at level 3. If I reduce it at level 2, that fan speed is also not too audible. So right now it is a very quiet cabin. If I deactivate idle start stop functionality, check this out, I'm still in D mode. I did not switch to neutral or park. Even in D mode, it will activate that feature. The engine will switch off, and as soon as you get off the brake, the engine will come to life and the vehicle will start rolling. So you don't have to play around with the gearbox to save that little bit of precious fuel. Now when the vehicle is running, I'm in park mode. This is a 3-cylinder motor. No vibration that is felt on the steering wheel, and the rear view mirrors On the outside, the inside rear view mirror, no vibration, and there is no movement that is going to make you feel like you have a product which has made some compromise. So in terms of refinement, not bad at all. Right now at city speeds, the engine is not heard inside the cabin at all. It is a quiet experience and it is a pleasant experience. If I have to very quickly overtake a slow moving car, I can get on the gas, kick that pedal, the engine and gearbox, they will downshift, rev high up, and you can sprint past, blast past. You don't necessarily have to kick the pedal completely too, just to make some overtaking maneuvers. You can part throttle and you will still get that sudden burst of power whenever you need it. So the engine and gearbox, they work in a very nice and refined manner, and also whenever you need to overtake someone, the engine is not slow, the gearbox is not lethargic, so you will not be a slow vehicle out on the highway. Inside the Fronx, there are quite a few features which will make you feel good from behind the wheel. So you have a head-up display which you can activate or deactivate, as you can see that on the dashboard. So long press the HUD button on the console and it will pop open, or it will go flush fit, fold down in the dashboard console. There is a lot of information that is shared with you over there too, so you have everything in front of your eyes. You don't have to get your eyes off the road onto this speedometer cluster console, so that also is quite nice. It adds a nice sporty touch. Is that really all that useful? Maybe not, but is it a good selling point, a good talking point? Definitely yes. Now check this out. We are on the Palm Beach Road in Navi Mumbai right now, and we are effortlessly driving this Fronx, and there is absolutely no problems. At speeds of almost 60 kilometers per hour, there is not too much of road noise that is heard inside the cabin. There is not too much of tire noise either. And if I part throttle, want to accelerate these slower moving cars at close to 100, there is some wind noise that is starting to creep inside, but it is not to the point that it is going to make you feel uncomfortable. But there is some additional wind noise definitely at triple digit speeds, which you will notice inside the Fronx. But it is still well in control. That is what I would say, because this, what I heard, is not something that I would complain about at all. Now when we stop, idle start stop functionality is active again. The vehicle is as quiet as you would expect it to be. The next point which I want to speak about is the steering wheel of this Fronx. Right now, when the engine has switched off, the EPS has lost all its assistance. Check this out. I would have to really struggle to move it. But as soon as the engine comes to life, typical of a Maruti Suzuki steering wheel, this is effortless and light, and you can have single finger movements on the steering wheel, and this will not be a struggle at all. Everybody in your family, all of them can share this car and they can get used to it very soon. So the Fronx is an effortless car to drive. But the thing is that this steering wheel, this EPS unit, it doesn't really offer you too much of feel and feedback. It feels quite vague, especially at high speeds, and there is quite some dead area too. So it is not a car for the enthusiast. It is not a steering wheel which will keep you engaged if you're driving it hard and fast through ghat roads. So that is something that you should keep in mind. But it is not completely bad. It is not something that is totally disconnected, but it is not just something that would entertain you. It would keep you engaged. So that is just my honest opinion. I wish that Maruti Suzuki works on their EPS units. I have seen this on my own CS, which I had for 6 years, and every other new Maruti product also has a wheel like this. It just doesn't have center pullback. So they need to up their game, at least in the steering wheel department. But in terms of ease of use, there is not going to be any problem over here. The next point which I want to speak about, that is the ride quality. Now, I have driven it for close to 600 kilometers, that is what I told you, and let me tell you that the suspension setup has offered me very good ride quality. It has tackled the broken roads effortlessly. Mumbai city has one of the worst roads, I guess, in India right now, in tier 1 cities across India right now, and the pathetic Mumbai roads did not unsettle me inside the cabin of this Fronx. The ride quality was comfortable for me and for my family too when we went out for a drive. So, no problems as a family car inside this Fronx. Of course, if you drive over really broken patches, you will hear those thuds too, because the sound insulation is not really all that superior in terms of what the product can offer, especially at this price. But it is what it is. Also, because of the wheel size, over really nasty potholes, you will feel those thuds, you will hear them too. Over speed breakers, the ride quality is nice, it is plush, it doesn't really feel too jerky, and also the ground clearance is good as well, so you don't have to necessarily slow down too much over big speed breakers. And when you're driving over a rough patch, the ground clearance doesn't demand you to slow down and be careful, because there is nothing that is going to hit or hurt or scrape the underbelly of this Fronx. So overall, it is just an easy and effortless car to drive and be inside. It is just that it is not an SUV, it is more of a crossover. They can call it an SUV, but it is not. We all know that. Now, if you are new to driving, if this is your first car, if this is your first automatic, let me tell you that you have a generous dead pedal, so you can rest your left foot at ease at all times. The pedal placement is nicely spaced out, so it is not cramped in the footwell area for the driver. And then, speaking about the brakes, the brake bite is progressive and it is confidence inspiring. I have no complaints in the braking department. These brakes are par for the course, and for the kind of performance that this vehicle offers, these brakes are more than sufficient. I have no complaints. In terms of handling, if you speak about body roll, there is some, but that is more amplified because of this vague steering wheel, and especially when you are giving really sharp steering inputs. Otherwise, this is not really a very tall vehicle, so body roll is not a major concern if you are buying this Fronx. Check this out. If I very quickly make overtaking maneuvers and if I very quickly change lanes, it is just the steering wheel that robs you of the confidence. The vehicle, the body balance is not really all that bad. So if the steering wheel offered you better confidence, it would have been a different story altogether in terms of driving dynamics. So we first got done with the driving bits because that is what we wanted to do, because the Fronx has been in the Indian market for a long time, so there is nothing that we would speak different about this product. But nevertheless, speaking about the exterior design, I think it is a decent looking car. I don't really like these proportions and the shape. I think it looks more like a frog, but that is just me, I guess. But you have all the latest features. You get all LED lighting with this Maruti Suzuki Fronx. You get integrated turn indicators with the front LED DRL. So that looks cool. You have LED headlights. You get a healthy dose of black plastic cladding. You get contrasting silver appliques on the bumper. And then you have body cladding on the side profile too. You have diamond cut alloy wheels. They look quite nice and the design is good as well. And then you will notice that on the wing mirrors you have your turn indicators, you have your camera for your 360-degree camera support, and also on the outside you have plenty of cuts and crease lines. The bumpers are also really well styled, so this Fronx, it tries to justify the price tag. From the outside, the way it looks, there is no other product which looks this way, so that is why the Fronx stands out, and that is why it is selling in decent numbers, because it is just quirky, it is just different, and people want to stand out when they are spending close to 15 lakh rupees. When you jump inside, this Fronx has decent space. I went out with 5 adults, me included, for a family dinner, and all 5 of us, me with my parents and my other family members, all of us had reasonable space. It is not really the most spacious rear seat when it comes to accommodating 3 healthy adults, but it is not bad at all. We were driving around for 1 hour one way, so 2 hours. Nobody complained, and the space overall is decent. For me, the driver, there is decent thigh support too. There is decent thigh support in the back seat too. If I am seated behind my own driving seat position, there is reasonable knee room, there is good leg room, foot room. So no compromise in space either. And the boot space, that is also good if you're buying this Fronx. The only thing is that in the boot, the loading lip is quite high, so you have to lift your bags high up and then get them out. So if you're going to park heavier items in the boot, that is going to be a major concern, especially if your elderly family members are taking this car out. That loading lip could be a concern. But overall, ingress and egress is easy for everybody in your family. This Fronx, it is going to cause no major concern. On the inside, to wow you, you have this head-up display on the dashboard. It has all the information that you need. Your speedometer cluster, you have conventional dials for your RPM and for your speed readout, and you have a colored MID in the center. Pretty standard fare for Maruti Suzuki products. You have a large touchscreen infotainment with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is wireless by the way, and the touch response is quite good, and you have all the information that you need over here. And what I don't like is this camera feed. I think this is not really all that great in terms of the view that you get, and it also looks and feels a bit snatchy when you're driving this car. But the infotainment, the UI UX is easy, and also the sound system has done a fine job in my review drive. I don't really expect a really loud sound system because that is not the way I drive. Now this infotainment, although it looks like it is popping out too much and it is this floating kind of style, it doesn't eat up your windscreen area, so it doesn't eat up your visibility. So that also is a good thing. And for your comfort, you also have this armrest which slides, and there is some storage space below this armrest too. The air conditioning is automatic, you get climate control, and it is easy to operate. Thank God there are no feather touch buttons over here. Conventional buttons, easy to use, muscle memory, so you don't have to get your eyes off the road to operate them. And your inside rear view mirror is also electrochromic, so that also is quite nice, because out on the Indian streets, people love to drive with their high beam on even inside the city, and you can't really educate these fools. If I have to nitpick, I must say that Maruti Suzuki needs to improve these buttons on the steering wheel. They feel very plasticky and they feel cheap too. The buttons on the driver door console, they are also quite old and dated, and they are shared with almost every Maruti Suzuki product which is on sale. So that also needs to change, just for the sake of change. And even these paddle shifters, by the way, they could have been a size larger for easier reach. And one more thing that I want Maruti Suzuki to get rid of are these sticks for your MID and for your trip computer. I mean, in 2024 and now moving into 2025, I just don't like it. Very quickly, if I have to speak about ergonomics, let me tell you that for my height of 5 feet 8 inches, this is the amount of headroom that is available, even though I am seated at the lowest seat setting, and I can gauge all 4 corners of the vehicle quite easily. It also has 360-degree camera support, so you can drive it safely if you have parked it in a tight spot. And to make U-turns, again, effortless and no complaints. Check this out. If I get on the gas, when this Fronx is making these upshifts, there is minimum head nod, so this 6-speed automatic is smooth shifting, and you know, it doesn't offer you too much of a jerky movement. Because of that, you would be very happy on those long drives, because since there is no head nod, since there is no jerk or hesitation felt during every gear shift, you know, there won't be too much of body fatigue. If I try to simulate that with these paddle shifters, check this out. I will go to manual mode. Now I'm in third gear, dropping it to second. Listen to the engine. When I'm making these upshifts, the upshifts, they might not be fast, they might not be dual clutch automatic like fast, but they are definitely smooth. Even the downshifts, they are not too snatchy, they are not too jerky, and because of that, when you are driving this car hard and fast, you have full control over the engine and gearbox, and the vehicle is not telling you that it is under stress, because the gearbox is smoothly transitioning when upshifting and downshifting. So that also is quite good in terms of giving you, the driver, better control over all the power and torque that is available on tap. Now what I want to demonstrate is that when you are in this manual mode, like I am right now, so check this out. I'm going to switch to second. Keep listening to this. It will not upshift by itself. It will rev up to 6000 RPM and a little beyond, and it will get stuck. So this manual mode is genuinely manual mode when you are accelerating hard. So it will not upshift, understanding that you are still heavy on the gas and you want to keep building momentum. So the gearbox is not that smart to detect that and upshift by itself if you miss to upshift in this Fronx when you are in manual mode. But right now I'm in fourth gear, alright, and what I'll try to do is I will slow down right now, and when I do this, if I try to pull over to the shoulder, check this out, the speed is dropping. It has already dropped to third gear. I'm going to press the brakes. It has now switched to second, now to first, and I am at a standstill. But now it is in M1, manual gear 1, and if I accelerate, it accelerated till 6000 RPM, and now it is stuck till the time I give a gear shift input. Again stuck till the time I upshift. So when downshifting, when you are slowing down and when you are in manual mode, this engine will downshift and bring you to a halt. It will not ask you to downshift. But when you are upshifting, you have to make those upshifts by yourself. It is a true manual when you are going up the gears. When you are coming down, it will downshift and slow down and also come to a standstill. So that is it about the gearbox, about this 6-speed automatic transmission of this Fronx. It is smooth, it is not really all that fast, but it does offer you all the control that you need, especially when you are upshifting and if you want to upshift at the red line. So if you like it or not, that is up to you. I'm back to standard driving mode, and it is an easy car to drive. It is not a problem at all, and ever since I have been driving it, I was not really overly excited. It is not a product which will leave you, wanting it in your garage. But does it do anything wrong? Absolutely not. It does everything as it should. It does everything as expected. It is just that this is not really an exceptional product, and it might work for some, it might not for a few. So that is it, guys. That is all that I want to share with you about this Maruti Suzuki Fronx. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? You let us know in the comments below. If you have any other questions, ask me and I will try my best to help you out. Till next time, subscribe to the Shifting Gears channel, press that bell icon, always drive safe, and always, guys, wear your seat belts.